So I've been taking students abroad for, 5 years now? And every time I take students abroad, I always tell them, keep your belongings close to you, be aware of your surroundings, pickpockets are real, people do get mugged, and it's a real thing. And I actually experienced this a couple of weeks ago, first time in my life. And so yeah, I think I'm kind of ready to tell the story now. I'd taken the day off of school because my boxes finally arrived from the United States. It's taken about 4 months to get them here, but they finally arrived, and I wanted to unpack everything. I wanted to get everything settled, and so I was kind of riding on a cloud, and I was very excited to get all my stuff and to be surrounded by my things. And I'd had the whole day off, so I didn't have contact with people, and I was kind of in the mood to just go out and grab a beer with some friends. And so I was walking to a place called Montevideo Beer Company, which is kind of our hangout. And I'd walked this way tons of times, and I just got complacent. So it was dark and it was nighttime, and I'm stupidly on the phone with my mom. Not that it's stupid to be on the phone with my mother, it's just stupid to be on the phone at night in the dark. And I'm telling her about all the boxes and what's come and how excited I was, and all of a sudden this guy just wraps his arm around my shoulder and kind of pulls me towards him and says in Spanish, "Give me your cell phone." And I kind of look over at him like, what are you talking about? And as I look over, I look down, and there's a knife. And I wasn't scared per se. It wasn't that like overwhelming paralytic fear that kind of went through my body. It was more of just like, no, you're not getting this cell phone. This cell phone is the only connection that I have. Let alone I'm on the phone with my mother. Like I can't imagine what my mother was dealing with at that point, because she's probably hearing every single thing that's being said. And I just remember saying over and over again, I'm on the phone with my mom. I'm on the phone with my mom. Get away from me. I'm on the phone with my mom. So he kind of pulls me again back towards him, and I start pushing him back. I'm kind of elbowing him back, and I didn't even really think about the knife as being a problem, which in hindsight is probably stupid, but I didn't even think about it. And I get him pushed back enough to kind of start to take off forward, and I trip, I fall. I have my purse slung over my shoulder, and it just, I guess when I fell, my purse kind of slung back over my shoulder and fell. And of course the guy grabbed my purse, ran with it, and I freak out because I'm in a foreign country. I have no clue what to do next besides run after the guy. So I'm literally taking off after this guy, screaming at the top of my lungs in English, like, help me, stop him, help me, stop him. Obviously nobody knows anything that I'm saying. I'm frantic, but I have my cell phone. So I call the woman at our school who's kind of been in charge of our situation, and I'm out of breath, and I'm a little bit frantic, and I'm like, what do I do next, and what's the next step? And she kind of gets me calm and tells me like, what's the next step? And then of course I have to call my friends and be like, I just got mugged, I'm not gonna be there. So they drop everything and come see me and come to me. And so I'm walking home, and of course I had to call my mother back because she's probably a mess by this point. And so I'm walking back to my apartment, and I get on the phone and again, Julie, with a woman from school, and hand the phone to my doorman because I don't speak much Spanish and Julie does. So she speaks Spanish to my doorman, and he's like, nope, I'll take care of it, no big deal. And so he immediately like gets on and does his thing and calls the police, and the police show up. So I'm sitting there, and by this point I'm not even like shaken. I'm not shaken by the experience. I'm more just like defeated. Just like, oh, how could I not have caught the guy? I can't believe that I didn't, push harder. All these like thoughts are going through my head. Plus my knee hurt because I fell on my knee. So the police show up, and this wonderfully nice man who was in my apartment building comes down the stairs and sees the police, and he's like, what's going on? And the doorman tells him, and so he immediately turns to me and he goes, do you speak English? And I said, yes, I do. And he goes, do you need somebody to translate? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe like this is happening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So he starts translating to the police about what happened, what the guy looked like. And of course, like, he was right there in my face, so I knew basic height, I knew what clothes he was wearing, I knew what direction he had run because I had ran the same direction as he did. I gave them all the information, and they saw 2 scratches just right here on my neck that I didn't even know that I had, and they asked me about that, and I was kind of like, it's fine. And they asked me if I wanted an ambulance. I said, absolutely not, it's crazy. So they write down all the information, and, you know, as this is all happening, several people from the apartment walk in and out, and of course they're like, why are the police here, right? And every time, like, the doorman and the man from the apartment, I'll tell them what happened, that I had been mugged. And of course, everybody was just shocked. I mean, so shocked. Oh, I can't believe that happened to you. What can I do? What can I get you? Do you need to come into our apartment? Do you need to stay? I mean, everybody was so nice, just lovely nice. So this guy who has been, you know, translating for me the whole time, by the time the police left, he was like, what can I do? What can I get you? Do you need some water? You need to just sit down in an apartment while you wait for the locksmith, because of course my keys were in my purse. And I said, no, honestly, I just want to get into my apartment, and I want a cerveza. I want a cold beer. That's all I want. And he was like, okay. So he leaves, and my friends all come, and they're, you know, piled up with food from the restaurant, and all of a sudden this beautiful, wonderful guy comes back, and he's holding a cold beer. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Yeah, so then we had to get my lock. My lock had to be broken. So I'm super appreciative of my friend Seba, who translated the whole time to the locksmith, because I had no clue what I was doing. But at this point, I'm a little bit more shaken than I thought I was, but, you know, I'm not freaking out or anything, and we're good. I get into the apartment. We broke my lock. I'll have to fix it later. We have some plans set up of credit cards that are all canceled, and how am I going to get my documents back? They didn't get my passport, but they got like my cedula, which is like our identification card here in Uruguay. My driver's license that, you know, I wrote about getting here. So I was kind of bummed. Like, I was just bummed. So that night, obviously I didn't get much sleep. And this is so funny because I kept picturing the moment in my head. I kept picturing this moment of when the guy grabbed me in the first place. And it wasn't, again, fear that went through my head. It was miscongeniality when she teaches the audience how to do self-defense through sing, where she steps on his foot, she elbows him, and then the nose, and then the groin. I was like, damn, I didn't sing. So that's the only thing that like kept popping through my head the whole time, of like replaying the scene as if I had actually been like successful at beating this guy off. So didn't get much sleep the next day, that night. And the next day I had to go to school. And so I go to school and we get, you know, settled, and Julie takes me to the bank to get some cash out because I have no access to money. And we start to really set up the whole, how am I going to start to get all my stuff? And, you know, of course, by that point it had gotten around to several people that this had happened. And so everybody's telling me their own mugging story in every country, you know, oh, this happened to me here and this happened to me here. So I get to hear their stories as well. But I think the coolest part of all this was on Saturday morning, I wake up and I have 2 Facebook messages, like personal messages. And they're from 2 complete strangers. One of them had found my debit card from Uruguay bank on the sidewalk and wanted to return it to me. And then a set of girls had found all the rest of my documentation, all of my credit cards, all of my cedula, my driver's license, everything on the sidewalk. So the only thing that they didn't find was my purse, and then I think I had like 100 pesos in the purse, which is roughly $3. Like there was no cash in this purse. So, you know, robber, sorry buddy, but you got nothing. So I meet these people to get my cards back, and I'm just like, thank you so much. Like, what can I do? Can I buy you a beer? Like, I don't know how to repay you, but any way I can. And they were like, no, don't worry about it. Like, this is what you're supposed to do. I would hope somebody would do it for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, there really are wonderful people in the world, first of all, but also this country. And I think my mom was very apprehensive about the situation, as she should have been, because that's a mother's worst nightmare. But I also wanted to reiterate to her that, you know, one guy walking down the street being a jerk is not what this country is about. This country is about the guy who lives, you know, 2 apartments down from me, who not only took time out of his day to translate for me, but also ran down the street to get a beer because that's what I said I needed. It's the woman who lives up at the top floor of my apartment who had offered me a bed if I couldn't get into my apartment. It's all these friends who had dropped everything, dropped their night out at, you know, a fun bar to come sit with me in a lobby for 35 minutes while we broke the lock in my apartment, and then came and sat in my apartment with me. You know, it's these girls and this guy who was walking down the street at night and found cards of a complete stranger, and then took the time to find that stranger on Facebook to make sure that she got back all of her documents and all of her cards. So that was really a positive moment of all this. And I know I continue to kind of think back to this moment of, you know, part of me wants to be really positive and say like, well, maybe the guy needed the money more than I did, but I think that's a little bit naive. Like, nobody should result in stealing. Nobody should result in, you know, assaulting somebody to get something. But at the same time, like, now every time I tell kids, hey, hold your stuff close to you, like, be aware of your surroundings, I can also be like, trust me, it's happened to me. Like, don't do something stupid while you're anywhere. Especially being, you know, a female speaking English in a Spanish-speaking country. Like, I was a perfect target. So, yeah, that's my mugging story. I wasn't hurt. I'm not traumatized by the event. It's not like I can't go outside and walk at night. I still do. I'm just a little bit more cautious. And honestly, the thing that I'm bummed about most that I didn't get back was my lipstick. I had this awesome lipstick color that I freaking loved. And that's the only thing that I was like, dang it, I really want that back. But so now, like, of course, like, inconvenient stuff, right? Like, we had to break the lock, and so now I had to pay for the lock to be put back on. So that's another, like, 4,500 pesos down the drain. You know, it's the credit cards that were canceled. Now my parents have to send them to me. So, like, things like that just can get a little inconvenient. But at the same time, like, it could have been way worse. It could have been, you know, horribly worse. So, yeah, first mugging experience. Didn't really skew my view of Montevideo at all because of everything else that happened afterwards. So, to everybody who was super helpful and kind and loving and, you know, helped me kind of get through this, I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the hugs at school afterwards. I really, really appreciate that. And I appreciate my friends for coming and just sitting with me when I needed people the most. I don't think I could have been alone that night. So thank you to everybody, and don't talk on your cell phone at night while you're by yourself, especially. Keep everything hidden, keep everything safe, hold on to stuff, be aware of your surroundings, because regardless if you're in Montevideo or New York City or Nashville, Tennessee, it can happen to you. So there you go.